And Senate Republicans battling over pre-existing conditions in the fight to overhaul Obamacare. Some GOP lawmakers reportedly want to include the waivers from the House bill that would allow states to opt out of the clause, banning higher premiums for people with pre-existing conditions. Now, according to the Congressional Budget Office, that could mean some people could see their premiums go through the roof. Now, Congressman Jason Lewis is a member of the House Budget Committee, Education and Workforce Committee as well. Welcome to you, sir. Thank you for being here today.
Hi, Laura.
Hello. All right, so let's get right to it. One of the biggest concerns for the public and challenges for lawmakers is how to break down and handle these pre-existing conditions. There are many Americans who are very worried right now about how their premiums will go up, especially now that the CBO has released its report saying they, in fact, have reason to worry. You've just put out an article on TwinCities.com. I was reading through it earlier, outlining a list of what you see about the myths, you say, about the AHCA. So what are some of those? Tell us about them.
Well, this is the week that HHS put out a report that said under Obamacare from 2013 to last year, premiums more than doubled. They went up 105%. Under the Affordable Care Act, Laura, we priced everyone as though they were sick. Everybody had to buy on the government exchanges the most expensive plan possible. What happened was young and healthy people couldn't afford it. They dropped out of the insurance pools, and the insurance industry has a death spiral. Aetna and Humana say we're out of the Obamacare exchanges next year. So nobody's there to subsidize anybody else. By allowing the industry to price a policy that fits me best, a young and healthy person best, you get more young and healthy people back in the insurance pools to subsidize the sick. That's the only way to get this plan to work. That's the only way insurance can work.
You've been in this for quite a while. I'm curious, what did you make of the CBO score overall? You had a chance to look at the report.
Well, sure. First thing you have to understand is this is the same outfit, the CBO, and they work hard. But they said that the Affordable Care Act would cover 26 million people by this year. It's actually 10 million people. They've overestimated the AHCA and underestimated us. But I will say this. In the report, they say premiums will be lower 4% to 30%. In states that apply for waivers so they can price the product that suits the customer, those premiums could drop up to 30% in this report. The report also says the deficit will go down by $120 billion. So contrary to the spin by the opponents, and remember, one thing everybody ought to remember, the very same people who are criticizing health care reform now are the very same folks that told us Obamacare would work. In Minnesota, premiums have gone up 55%, 60%. The state had to bail out the exchange here. You've got insurance companies dropping 100,000 people off their plans. This current system is untenable. So we've got to have real health care reform, and that's what we're doing.
You know, Mr. Lewis, with the ongoing fight over pre-existing coverage, a lot of Americans watching this, listening now, wonder how is all of this going to affect any of the real chances of getting a health care bill done? How do you see it?
Well, first of all, the American Health Care Act bans any denial of pre-existing conditions. That's a canard that's been out there for some time. It bans denial of coverage for pre-existing conditions. All it says is the industry can suit a plan that's best suited to the customer. And that means young and healthy people will have lower premiums and they'll get back in the market, as I say. So without the undoing of these price controls and allowing the market to function, you can't price everybody as though they're sick. We've seen what happens. If you really want to cover the sickest Americans, allow the prices to fluctuate so we get young, healthy people back in the insurance pools to subsidize the older and the sick.
And real quick before I let you go, how do you help people understand how the waivers work and how it could affect their families? A lot of people are trying to wrap their head around this and know how it's going to affect their children, their spouses. How do you explain the waiver part of this?
That's a great question. All the waivers do is allow the industry, as I say, to pool risk and price risk. But understand, no one can be charged a penny more unless they stop paying their premiums. All right. No one can be charged a dime more than anybody else unless they stop paying their premiums. And by the way, that is the same policy that was in Kennedy-Kassenbaum in HIPAA in 1996.
And I wonder, has this been frustrating for you? How frustrating has it been, if it has been?
Yeah, the misinformation is very, very frustrating. This is real health care reform, and what's especially frustrating, Laura, is right now no one has a clue what we're going to do if we don't reform health care. All of the critics have no plans. They're looking at this debacle in health care right now. It is our responsibility and the responsibility of people who are serious about governing to reform health care in a meaningful way, and that's what we're doing.
All right, Mr. Lewis, thank you so much for your time. We've got to leave it right there. Always great to have you on the program.
My pleasure.
All right.